Hey guys, Sean Bougie. This is part 2 of Tax Lien Investing, What They Aren't Telling You. This is going to talk about some of the issues or concerns that I brought up in the last video, and I appreciate you guys' response to that. I'm going to put a link to that video in the description of this. And you can check us out at surplusfundsriches.net. Please do. We teach you how to make a heck of a lot more money actually buying the property pre-tax sale for pennies. And also working overages on the back end. And a lot of you guys have already heard about that. That's where it sells for more money than the property, than was owed against the property by the foreclosing entity, and then the ex-owners owed the money. We teach you how to go after that, helping people out while you're doing it, make a ton of money while you're actually helping other people make money, which is kind of that's a good thing. But let's talk about the tax lien investing. And the reason I'm doing a new one is because we're coming up on a foreclosure wave. Okay, and a lot of you guys are getting excited about that, and you should be. You're getting excited about it because you're saying, okay, this is an opportunity. Maybe there's going to be more property on the market. Maybe there's going to be more opportunities. Maybe I've got a better chance of getting a tax lien for cheaper. Well, there's good and bad news. The good news is you're right. There's going to be a lot more property coming up. Here's the deal, and if you doubt me, no problem. Google county budget deficit, and you will be scrolling for days, okay, on all these counties that now have a deficit because of COVID-19. What happened was all these counties put it off. They felt obligated to put off the actual tax deed sale, and as a result, those people that would have been paid out on the tax liens when the tax deed sale hit, they're not. They're having to wait while this is going through the system. All the courts are backed up. Everyone's backed up. No one has any money. So the counties are going forward a lot faster. And not only are they going forward a lot faster on scheduled auctions that were put off, but they're also going about foreclosing on property faster than they would have. A lot of states have always been quick. Okay, you get into Florida, 2 to 3 years, you're in arrears in taxes, it's sold. They're getting rid of it. You get into North Carolina, and it used to be they would let property go for up to 10 years. They're not doing that anymore. So there's been a major shift, and you're seeing that right now where there's a lot of opportunity in tax sales, both in tax liens and tax deed sales. That's a big deal. And I'm going to circle back around to that. The other thing is you're seeing this foreclosure wave coming where we still have over 2 million people that are behind as a result of forbearance. They haven't caught up on their forbearance payments. That did not affect their credit. I'm not going to get into all that, into all the forbearance. I've done that on other videos. But I will tell you that there's a lot of people holding on by their fingernails right now. Okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to see, in addition to the tax deed sales and the tax lien sales, you're going to see a lot of foreclosures coming from the mortgage companies. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and there's also going to be, I'm going to call that a distraction, right? So the investors are going to see that coming, and they're going to start moving over to going after mortgage foreclosure auctions instead of tax deed sales and tax lien sales, because they're going to want to capitalize on that. So there's going to be this rush, this gold rush, to take advantage of what's coming up. Okay, and there's a couple of other factors right now in the market that are affecting this. One of them is we have insane demand for property. You guys know that. Hey, and I've said this before, Mecklenburg County, last time I checked, which was months ago, Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, and this is true of the vast majority of the metro statistical areas out there, they are actually, they have 18 days worth of inventory. Okay, so when you come up to mortgage foreclosures, you've got this pent-up demand. Normally you have 6 months worth of inventory in a given market. That's healthy. But when you get to 18 days, it's not healthy, and it's jacking the prices up. Okay, so you've got all that happening where you've got this pent-up demand, you've got historically extremely low rates, record-setting low rates for mortgages right now. So and all people are looking at is their monthly payments. So people are willing to pay a lot more money. Also, we have hyperinflation, or at least inflation. I'd say it's hyperinflation, but they're not going to tell you that. Inflation going on where everything's extremely more expensive to build new property. And guys, resale market follows the new market. So when the new market goes up dramatically, the resale market follows right behind that. I've got some notes I'm going to go over here. First of all, I want to talk about tax lien investing if you're going after a set return. Okay, and I know I've gone through a little rabbit hole. Thank you for bearing with me. Return on other expense. There are other expenses with that return that you haven't factored in. Sometimes you have to actually petition the court to actually have the sale itself so that you can get paid out on your tax lien. It depends on states. Really do your homework, guys. We do have a, good Lord, we have a program called the Tax Lien Profit Machine that we have. Although I got to tell you, I think that's really lucrative, but you can make even more money flipping property. We call it our deed flip, or that's buying property pre-sale and then selling it quickly, as is where is to investors. Or you can go up to the overage that's created on the back end, and more of those have been created than normal. Again, surplusfundsriches.net. Watch that main video. So there's a couple. That's the main thing, is your return isn't what you think it is. Make sure you understand what your costs are if you're going to buy a tax lien for a return, because it's not going to be as high as you think. And there is more competition. I covered that earlier. There is more competition in tax liens right now. So that percentage can be bid down. You can make less money than you thought you were going to make. The other thing is, and here's the big one I'm running into, people are thinking that buying tax liens, because in some states you have the right to actually foreclose on it or to actually get the property if it's not sold at tax deed sale if you own the lien. Okay? There's problems with that. First of all, it doesn't sell at a tax, and these are things I've covered in some of this I've covered in a past video. If it doesn't sell at a tax lien sale, a tax deed sale, I'm sorry, that means nobody popped on it, and right now we have extreme competition. Do you really want that property if no one is willing to buy it for just the taxes owed and your lien percentage? Do you really want it? Because there's so much competition and so many bidders out there, and it's going for so high, in some cases retail price, that it's just not a good deal. It's not the way to go right now. It's just not. If you're thinking you're going to end up with that property and that's how you're going to profit. If it didn't sell at the auction, tax deed sale, then it's probably not worth you having. It's worth less money than was owed against it because nobody bid on it. And I know that sounds kind of duh, but I mean, that's, people aren't thinking that through. The other thing I wanted to bring up is some states, and you can look this up on nolo.com. Some states have super liens. What that means is the HOA, if there's an HOA lien, that actually rises to the top in front of everybody except for the tax man. However, that means if it sells, there can be a lien still attached to that property, and because you didn't do the homework and you're trying to get the property, actually get the property, first getting the lien and then trying to get the property because nobody bought it, those super liens are still there, and you have to factor those in. HOA liens can be extremely high, especially if it's been a couple of years. Remember also that the IRS tax liens can survive that as well. Now, typically in a foreclosure, the way the IRS works, and by the way, the liens only work for, or rather survive for 10 years from the date in which they're recorded. That's an IRS tax lien. Most state tax liens are the same way. Do your homework in your area, the state you're working, okay? But the IRS lien, they also, after the foreclosure, have a right of redemption. They have the right for typically 3 to 4 months after the sale, depending on the state, they can come back and they can buy the property back for what it sold for, actually for what was owed, okay, the taxes owed plus whatever the lien percentage was. They can come back and buy it and then resell it themselves. Now, do they do that? Almost never. But it's good to know that that's something that could come up. You need to do basic title work. We teach you how to do that in our programs, by the way. Code enforcement liens can also survive a tax lien. State income tax liens can also survive a tax lien sale. Tax deed sale, I'm sorry. And again, question why it didn't sell at auction. If you're trying to get the property, hoping that nobody buys it at the auction because you have the lien, some states work that way, some states don't. But if that's what you're trying to do and nobody bought it, you're kind of chasing a property that nobody wants, and you're not going to be able to resell it, or it has zero value. Again, with the coming flood, we've got counties and banks foreclosing. The counties are out of money, right? They don't have the money. They're foreclosing a lot quicker on property, so that's good. You have more tax liens available to you. However, we've got this pent up demand. So you have to be careful. However, this coming wave is going to make more money for you, both in county taxes and if you really take the time, guys. In real estate, you've got to keep your options open. You've got to have multiple eggs in your basket. And the upcoming mortgage foreclosures, particularly in forbearance issues, okay, the property where it was a federally backed loan, and even sometimes private mortgage companies, about banks, they are tired of waiting. That is coming. It's a huge, huge foreclosure wave. 2 million. It's nowhere near what it was 2007 or 8, but it is coming. It is going to be really easy. It's going to be easier to find property that other people have overlooked. It's going to be easier to resell it because we have all this crazy pent-up demand. We have extremely low rates. We have all these things that are working in our benefit all at one time. So that's a really, really big deal. It's a great time to get involved. The mortgage overages are going to be huge. The amount of people that are not going to be able to make that whole, it's amazing. Property has gone up so much over the last couple of years that it's kind of ridiculous these people are not already selling it. But I've been there, guys. In '93, I went through a personal bankruptcy. Long story. Had to do with somebody I hired that was a good friend of mine that ended up stealing from me. But I understand the thought process people are in at that point. They can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they're not thinking straight. So there's a lot of properties that are going to come up for foreclosure that they could have sold and actually made some equity off of, but they're not thinking straight right now. This wave is going to be huge. It's coming up the end of the year on the mortgage side. On the tax side, it's already kind of hit, guys. The counties are not waiting anymore. They have budget deficits. I think I said this before, but go ahead and Google county budget deficit, and you'll be scrolling for days. Be careful, guys. If you're buying a tax lien for a return, make sure you've factored in all the costs involved. If there's additional costs with actually petitioning for the county to sell it so you can get paid out, that's a big deal. Also, check all the debt against the property because not all of it gets kicked out if you're trying to invest in a tax lien in order to end up in the property itself because it won't sell at a tax deed sale. I hope this has been informative. Any and all questions are really appreciated. Please like our channel, guys. Click the notification bell if you can. Whenever we put up new videos, we put a lot of free content online for you. And of course, check us out at surplusfundsriches.net. Thanks.